Good evening. Good evening and welcome to Free Souls Radio CF. This is your host, Elder Pamela Horn of Consuming Fire Ministries, coming to you from Haw River, North Carolina with Fireside Talks, the ingredients of godly relationships. Tonight we have back with us my sister-in-law, Daphne Horn, on this evening for part 2 of Defining Relationships. And also joining us is Tina Thompson, for part 2 of Defining Relationships. And
Amen.
amen. Say hello, everybody.
Hello.
And we left off last week talking about relationships, and we got into the definition of relationships. Amen.
Amen.
And I think we got to the part where we were talking about why relationships matter and what a meaningful human connection or association that we share with people and how that plays an important role in our own happiness. So a lot of people, they don't have people to talk to. They don't have those human connections, you know. You've seen the person on the job that seems to keep to themselves, is kind of a little awkward, and you wonder, you never see any family members, you never see anybody, friends or anything, and you wonder, you know, well, how does this person live like that, you know? I know I'm like I said, introverted and shy on the norm, but it was 8 of us. So, you know, I had plenty of family around, brothers and sisters, and now I got a lot of nieces and nephews. And, you know, family is it's a big thing. And holidays are big productions, you know, around the house. You know, I might not have any kids of my own, but, you know, I have so many family members, extended family members, you know, cousins and aunts and uncles. And to see somebody that just doesn't seem to have anybody, I wonder what kind of life is that, you know?
Maybe, you know,
You talk up.
yeah, well, it could be that person does have relationships,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with family members, maybe even friends. Maybe they've had some relationships not to work out, you know, so well, which keeps them kind of at distance,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And then too, I think in fostering relationships, it takes some people a little bit longer to get acclimated,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to
Yeah.
having others in their space.
That's true. A lot of people not used to other folks and, you know, interacting with other people.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, for me, it takes a while for you to really get to know me and get into that space, and I can be very quiet, but at the same time, you know, when I see somebody that's even more introverted than I am, I worry. I worry because, you know, I'm kind of bad about it. And other, you know, people that know me, that's the first thing they will remark about the first time meeting me, how it was hard to get a read on me, basically,
Mhm.
you know, and get close to me enough to where they were, you know, I was comfortable with them. It might take me months before I let my guard down around somebody, you know.
It takes time to get to know people.
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of time to get to know people, and then when you jump in too quickly and you think you know somebody, you know,
That is something.
that is something. So we talked about the positive self-image that the maid had enforced on the little girl in the movie The Help. We ended off with that when she was saying, you is smart, you is kind, you is important, or you is kind, you is smart, you is important. And had she not had that relationship, you know, because she didn't have that kind of relationship or interaction with her own mother, you know. So that was very, very important for the little girl, you know, in the movie to have somebody that could, you know, enforce that to her. So a relationship, let's talk about the benefits. The benefits that that a relationship offers to us include it helps to divert our mind from stress, from anxiety, away from negative thoughts, because it helps us not to feel so alone or less alone. It offers emotional support, love, affection and guidance and care, and open communication without judgment. It helps us to engage in healthy and fruitful activities, and it offers practical help and social support by encouraging healthy behavior and influence a long happy life. It helps to create stability and increase our emotional well-being.
I agree.
Those are the benefits to having relationships. It's hard as a single person. I was discussing this with Tina a little bit earlier. It's hard, you know, as a single person, not to have that spouse to kind of like, you know, be able to lean on, you know what I'm saying? And even though I like my space and I like being alone, I don't like being that alone.
Everybody loves companionship.
Amen. Everybody loves companionship. Now, I thought about it, and we were talking about, you know, what would it be like if, you know, I didn't have anybody to reach out to, you know, to call, or not a friend, not a, you know, nothing. Those relationships are different though than having a spousal relationship. You know, you want somebody, because if you tell your secrets to somebody, you want somebody like a spouse that you could trust.
Absolutely.
Not to reveal, you know, all of your deepest, darkest secrets.
Well, and I agree with you. And so one of the thoughts that came to my mind when I was rereading some of the notes was how much or how little an individual puts forth an effort, I think, depends on the type of relationship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because a relationship can be toxic. You know, you can be getting to know a person and thinking they understand, and if they view things different from you, it can go left pretty quick, or it can go away, you know, totally unexpected.
And then you have a relationship with somebody that may be one-sided.
I've been a giver all the time in a relationship.
Yeah.
And that's no fun.
And when I met a friend that was a giver like me, I didn't know how to handle it.
That's true.
Because I didn't have, you know, I was always the one that was always doing for somebody else. And then when it was time for me to have that support from my friend that I have supported all this time, you know, it was like, and they would be in a position to do that or to support me. But when it was time, when I needed, you know, there was nobody there. Nobody to be found. So when I found a person that had that kind of heart, you know, we clicked, you know, because we just held each other up, you know, and
it's refreshing. It's an awesome thing.
It is.
It's comforting. I'm sure you felt comforted.
Oh yeah.
I think some things like that also goes along with maybe how you were raised and stuff like that. Like, there's some men who are very genuine in relationship. It's friends that are, you know, very supportive in the friendship and stuff like that. And then you have others who, like you just said, you know, you always the one who's giving or being the blesser, but then you see this person that has that, you know, ability to give or be that blessing or supporter like you, but sometimes maybe if, you know, they won't talk manners or things like common courtesy, you know, we think of things like that.
Oh,
Other
yeah.
people, that stuff goes right over their head and they may not even be aware of it.
That's true. That's true, because it does depend on how, how a
Yeah,
person was
upbringing.
raised, whether they had siblings or not. They
Mhm.
might have been an only child. They might have been used to,
All the
everybody,
attention.
all the attention. And for me, I guess I'm the way that I am because it was 8 of us.
Mhm.
So
You kind of learned to
I was in the
share.
middle. Yeah, I didn't learn to share. I had
You
to
had to share, yeah.
Yeah, it was something that was like, hey,
This is a must.
this is a must, yeah. And so that's it. Having a strong and positive relationship with somebody helps us to live a healthy and a joyous life. And we need to also be aware of how our behaviors, our thoughts, how our words, our actions are a positive or a negative impact on our associations. And you have somebody that is always talking negative. I call that what a toxic relationship. They're always talking negative, always finding fault in whatever you do, and it'll have an impact on you actually being able to live a healthy and a joyous life, because somebody's always Debbie downing you, bringing you down, and
Criticize.
Or not necessarily in the relationship that you guys have, but some people are just negative and just the comments that they're making about
It's their
something
character.
that they're watching on TV or with the clerk at the register or about some food that they ordered and
nothing's
wasn't right or up to their standard. I personally don't like negative energy.
Exactly.
I personally just don't like negative energy, and I prefer to surround myself with people who share my beliefs and fostering healthy, nurturing relationships. Not saying that I'm perfect, but I prefer more positive
people.
Yeah, positive people.
And I wasn't,
In my
and
circle.
I wasn't one of them positive people, in my lifetime. But I was going through a depression before I rededicated my life back to Christ. So I was one of those Debbie Downers. I had that gloom and despair outlook on life, on everything.
Not everybody knows how to handle that either. Like, there are some people I've learned, like, I was upset one time and I was sharing with someone in the friendship that I had at that time, some things I was going through, and I realized like how sad they became just by me telling the story. And I'm like, whoa, you don't have to be sad. But that's how it is a very good thing to be around people who are healthy and positive and stuff. It can affect you. It can definitely make you down if they're always toxic and just bad mouthing everything. It can rub off on you, and you could just be like that energy and that way you start feeling like, what's wrong with me? You need to clear yourself from that person.
That feeling in the pit of your stomach.
Yes.
Like, oh God, my stomach is churning. Because it does, it stresses you
It
out.
does. It does.
It does. It stresses you out. And I'm like, oh God, I don't want to talk to this person today because I already know
they're gonna just dry me out.
Yeah, I already know, So it'll have, it'll impact your the way that you look at things.
Yes.
And so the more we care about and nurture the positive relationships with people, the healthier our relationships become. It's a wide variety of association that we share with other people, and almost all our connections or bondings are very important for our psychological health, our happiness, and our spirit.
Amen.
Amen. And we're going to take a quick commercial break. Amen. And we will return shortly on Freed Souls Radio CL with more of Fireside Talks, the ingredients of godly relationships. Amen. Amen. We are back for more of Fireside Talks with your host, Elder Pamela Horn. And this evening I have with me again my sister-in-law Daphne and my cousin Tina Thompson. Amen.
Amen.
So before we went to break, we were talking about having strong and positive relations. And we're going to get into the 4 basic types of relationships. First of all, let's start with family relationships. The connection, the first connection that people form is with their parents. You know, that first bond, especially to the mother when you're coming out of the womb. And the mother understands her child's requirements and fulfills them even when the child is unable to talk or express what they want in words. So how as a mother, how do you connect and learn what your baby is wanting?
It could be a cry.
A cry.
It could be a look.
Mm-hmm.
It could be them like physically gesturing for something, or, you know, it depends on the age of the child. As an infant, a lot of it has to be, I think, intuition, like mother just
Most of them cry.
Yeah.
Most of them cry. So it's either they're wet.
Yeah, at that level.
Yeah,
at that
they
age.
need to be changed. They're hungry.
Yes.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or you might be holding them wrong. You know, that make the child cry. So you gotta know by instinct that something's wrong. And you learn that way. And even as they grow, you learn from their signals. Like you said, sometimes they motion, you know, they might not be able to talk yet, but they'll point. Mm-hmm.
Or maybe throw some toys.
Yeah, have a temper tantrum.
Maybe.
Yes.
I don't like it.
Uh-huh. So meanwhile, people are connected with their family or their relatives, either through blood or marriage, kinship, romantic relationships, or adoption. Family comes in different forms, including single parent families, step families, even the non-traditional same-sex families.
Yeah.
You got close ties with family members, mostly that will last you a lifetime. Now, you know, some people will cut themselves off from their families and not have anything to do with their brothers and sisters, fall out over something that happened, you know, and just never recover. But research suggests that family relationships play a central role in shaping an individual's well-being across the course of their life. So when something like that happens, sometimes you do have to cut off people out of your life. And sometimes, sadly, it's a family member, maybe a sibling, maybe a cousin, you know, extended family member. You know, sometimes you just can't deal with certain relationships because it has an effect on you. And if you continue in that, I guess.
Yeah, if it's not, if it's not a mutual, like if you're giving, and they're taking or draining and draining, and really that person isn't trying to do their part to maintain the relationship.
Right.
It can become very heavy,
Taxing.
very heavy,
Very
and
taxing.
overwhelming. And so I just don't think that that's a healthy relationship.
What about your family members that have serious issues, serious problems.
Mhm.
And you try and try and try and try to help them, but they don't help themselves. So after a while, it's like, I can't deal with this.
I think it's based off like a maturity level and just knowing, if you're dealing with someone and you see that you're kind of a crutch or that they're just not trying to help themselves at all, you just have to use what I would call wisdom and just fall back. And you did your part by trying to help. And it's a saying, loving them with the long hands full. If they
That
need
tough
you, you can
love.
still be there, if something comes up, but it's like overall you just push back and let them be them. Because we can't all deal with everyone and their ways or their actions. And people might not like where we are. We might want to do things
So
right and they want to live wrong. So we not gonna work together. I will never be able to help this person because you want to keep drinking. So
Absolutely.
you have to know when to just cut it off, and sometimes it hurts, but that's the good part about life is, you got to make that decision.
Well, do you think it's some truth to people who are in your life, whether sometimes it's relatives or even friends that you've established bonds with, or there sometimes you're like for a season?
Yes.
It's a time and a place and a moment.
Because
And that season might come back around 30 years from now.
yes,
And,
absolutely.
but sometimes you walk closely with someone and then there's no relationship for years. And sometimes the relationship never recovers.
And sometimes, like you said, you guys may be reconnected and reignite some things. And
You're gonna know when it's time to cut it off or keep dealing with that person just off the actions and the whole vibe of the friendship, relationship, whatever.
And sometimes when you move out of a physical space, like when you were in college, I'm sure you had your close friends or friends that you saw or people you maintain relationships with on a regular basis. But then when you all graduated and went your separate ways, it was kind of maybe it became
Distant.
a little more distant.
Yeah.
Or
And sometimes you always have that in that relationship in from a distance or whatever. You might keep in contact like Facebook now.
Absolutely.
Or phone calls back then in letters or whatever, but we might not see each other for years, but it doesn't mean we're not still friends. We're just not walking closely together anymore.
Yeah.
Like as life changes, relationships, friendships, it's going to change.
Yeah.
As people elevate in life, whether it's an occupation or certain careers, it changes the situation and changes things.
And I will even say that as a married, woman, my marriage has changed from the time that I got married or even before I was dating my husband. And I'm sure it's going to continue to evolve. And it's, I believe, for the better. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Because you're still learning, each
Every
other.
day. Yes, I agree.
Even my relationship with my daughter has changed. You were talking a little while ago about the relationship that I, of course, had or, actually, I guess, became part of when I became a mother. It's changed. I mean, initially the relationship was really me as the giver, the main source person, sustained the relationship because of course she was an infant,
Right.
and a toddler, but now, she's
older now.
She's more independent.
More independent.
It's changed.
Yes, I definitely understand and agree with that. And it's the same, in any other, whether it's, with friendships and things like that, it changes.
Well, let me ask you this. I know someone said a few minutes ago, people or family members or friends who are struggling, maybe with substance abuse or alcohol, what have you. that you just feel like, you know what, I've tried in this relationship, it's one-sided. This person really don't want a relationship with me, so why am I trying to force it?
Yeah,
Do we just cut our losses and just pray for that person?
I've gotten to that point with certain family members because it's like this. Your mental well-being is at stake, and let's say,
Take care of you first.
yeah, you have to take care of yourself first. And if you know, because I had a family member years ago that was on drugs real bad, and you know, everybody talked about the struggle that they were going through. So when they tried to relocate and said, well, I'm trying to get myself together, can I come and stay with you? Well, no, because I've heard that you rob people blind that you stayed with, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, or taking just doing stuff that would ruin your life. And you see the train coming, you're not going to jump in front of the train.
Exactly.
You know, unless you want to get hit.
That's using their wisdom again.
You know, you don't want to jump in front unless you want to be rolled over.
And what I like to say, protecting my peace.
Yes, that's very important.
Because you know that they don't live the same kind of lifestyle that you live. You know, you're hearing things where, you know, the police is after this person, and this is, you know, going on, drug dealers are shooting up the house and all kinds of stuff, but you want to bring
You're
that
not gonna bring
into
that
my
me.
space.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but it can be hard because you're like, what if they really trying to get themselves together? Should I help them? You know, but like I said, sometimes people, you try to help, but they don't help themselves. So at that point, it's like, are you going to sacrifice your life and your sanity trying to help somebody that doesn't want help?
You can't do it.
Can't do
You
it.
can't do it.
And people do it, and they end up going downhill behind somebody else's issues.
I've seen grandmas do it with grandchildren.
Yeah.
And they just run after that grandboy, that grandchild, and I'm just like, you're killing yourself. You're dragging yourself down. Just let them go and give them to God.
And that's the hardest thing for a parent to do, a grandparent, to give up on a child and just cast that care on the Lord.
But it's important. It's an important thing to. It's a hard decision, but it's important. It will definitely take the stress and that burden, that weight. It becomes a burden when you take someone on, especially if you don't really have to, but you just care. And, you know, being a genuine person and trying to love and take care of them and stuff.
And when you do that, also, you're becoming the crutch for that person. When you don't let them fall, you know, they don't have an incentive to get back up because you're supporting them.
It's true.
Aiding and abetting everything that they do, so you know they don't have a reason to get themselves together.
That's right.
You know, especially with a parent that's gonna allow you to stay there and do what you want to do or whatever, and they just kind of like, oh,
I know this person by now.
They can't throw them out. You know, can't throw them out in the street, that type of thing. But if you throw them out in the street, maybe they will get some help. Maybe they would seek some help.
Absolutely.
Unless they just like living on a bridge somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And some people do, you know, but that's them. Eventually, it's crippling them, you know, from moving on in life. And once that parent or that grandparent is gone, amen. We're about to take another quick commercial break. And we will return shortly on Free Souls Radio CF with more of Fireside Talks, the ingredients of godly relationships. Amen, amen, amen. And we are back for more of Fireside Talks with your host, Elder Pamela Horn. and my sister-in-law Daphne Horn, and my cousin Tina Thompson. Amen. We were talking about relationships with your family. And a 2018 study says that close and positive family connections in childhood can reduce negative impact of childhood stressors on biological processes, as well as influence the health behaviors that can shape physical health. Holding different values or understandings within a family is extremely natural and important to maintain or develop open and respectful communication. Though arguments and conflicts are also very natural and mostly short-lived within a family, these may make the family bonding strained or non-existent if you can't overcome them. Now, one major bond that I had, or family connection that I had in my childhood, was with my cousin. We were like two peas in a pod. They used to call us two peas in a pod. And she passed away about a year or so ago. And I had to do her graveside service, because it was during the time when COVID got hit the scene.
Yeah.
And we had to find a different way how to do the funeral. So I actually had to preach her funeral at the graveside. So it took a lot out of me, because for years we may not have been in close contact, like a daily type thing, but we were always in contact, and we were always connected. We were always bonded from that, that childhood bond that we had. Now, I used to tease her, about being the favorite, my grandparents' favorite. Everybody knew she was the favorite, and she was spoiled on that aspect. But one thing about her, she always shared everything with me, because I was the quiet type. So I didn't really demand anybody's attention. So I didn't demand my grandparents' attention. I didn't demand my parents' attention. I was just quiet, and I would accept, whatever, basically. But I always had her who would, hey, this and this and this or whatever, and she would like guide me on what to do. You want some money? Show grandma and granddaddy your report card. They give me, certain amount of money for every A I make. So, okay, I show grandma and granddaddy my report card. So, but she had that bond, but she shared with me. It's like, in The Color Purple, Celie and her sister, and Nettie, they shared everything. Nettie taught Celie how to read and write, and it was like that with her. She was like 6 months older, but you would have thought she was 20 years older than me, because she was always, trying to teach me something. But I always treasured that, that bond and that relationship. It helps you when you're close to somebody like that, growing up. It helps your mental well-being and your self-esteem and all of that, just to have that back, that person to have your back, you have their back,
So she was more outgoing than you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And most of my friends are more outgoing, because I always end up with somebody that's more boisterous, that brings my personality out, because awesome. Like I said, I'm introverted, and it takes a long time to crack that shell and pull me out of the shell, and once they do, it takes a strong personality to do that. So most of my friends are about the same, more outgoing and boisterous, those type of people.
Those are sweet relationships you share, about your cousin and you as childhood cousins. Yeah, and I had a cousin who was a year older than me, and we were really close, girl cousin like you, in our childhood, and maybe even through middle school. but something happened and
Yeah.
the relationship, you know, began to kind of like,
Just fade off.
yeah, fade. And, you know, we talked, I guess you could say, on occasions, you know, going into adulthood or early adolescent. And
Well, I guess we were always, you know, close knit, you know, family growing up. As far as cousins, we always were close. Like a lot of people, I didn't understand. A lot of people would say, "Well, I don't, you know, that's not my cousin, or that's not my whatever." And I'm like, "That's your first cousin, you know, or your second cousin, you know, even third cousin." We were cousins, you know, but some people would not claim it. And I didn't understand that. I'm like, well, you know, if we had first, second, third, if you say you was in the bloodline somewhere, you was family.
that's good. That's good though.
You know, and even, you know, our family, you know, if your friends come around,
you treat them
After the
They-
third time, you
they
might as well
are
hang
cousins.
up. You family.
they are cousins. You know, I know my little my baby sister, her best friend, one of her best friends growing up, will bring her kids over and stuff. And, you know, my daddy is just the papa, granddaddy to the
Yeah.
heart.
Everybody.
Oh my God. And all the kids just love him, you know. And so we were out eating one day and she was saying that, you know, her son wanted to go to his papa's house, and she thought he was talking about her daddy or somebody or his granddaddy on the other side. And he said, "No, I want to go to my papa's house to let me do anything I want to do." That's how he is. He just let him run wild. Anything I want to do, I'm gonna go see my other papa.
Too funny.
How sweet.
But that's, you know, that's how our family, you know, our family is. And so growing up with my cousins, it's like everybody would be at grandma's house. It was 11 of them. And then every one of them had families. And I guess the smallest one was probably a family of 3 kids. That was small. Everybody else had either no kids or 8 or 9, you know. So we had a lot of cousins. And when everybody would get together, it usually be on the holidays, like I think they would come down for Mother's Day every year. And they would come down everybody would get together for Thanksgiving, you know. And that was like a family tradition. So we all grew up close because every day we go out to grandma's house after school.
Yeah.
So that's when we would see our cousins.
I think that's the best family though. When you have big family like that and everybody sticks together with that love and stuff. You have great school years and
Mhm.
you know, you grow up with that big personality and outgoing person when you grow up with family like that and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, like her cousin who was more outgoing, the one that I was making reference to, she was more outgoing, you know, than I was. And so she would kind of, you know, coach me and,
Yeah.
you know, kind of bring me out.
House of life. Like,
Yeah.
So the second type of relationship we're gonna get into is friends. And a friend is the one who promotes companionship, recognizes our strengths and weaknesses without taking advantage, and helps us to improve ourselves. And give me a couple more minutes on that. Listens to our perspectives, our opinions, and our feelings. Listens to our thoughts without judging us, guides us and helps us in the hard times, and makes time for us. And it makes an effort to maintain that friendship because, you know, like I said, there were a whole lot of one-sided friendships and relationships. And that friend is one that strengthens our self-esteem and our self-confidence. Now, I had a best friend growing up. I, you know, adopted her parents, and I met daddy first. And I told him that day, I said, "You're gonna be my godfather." I just adopted him, you know, and I spent a lot of time over there growing up and over the years and stuff, because I saw something in them that I liked. They were spiritually, you know, grounded family,
Mhm.
church family, and I like that about them. And she was the only child in the house, and that she grew up, only child. She had cousins and all that, but we became sisters, as best friends. We became sisters through that bond and that relationship. Now she was the type that would always try to, tell me, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, or you're too so and so. You fight for yourself, stick up for yourself, that type of thing. Don't let them do you like that, And she was always trying to push me into being, better, and not letting people take advantage of me. She wanted me to,
She was assertive.
yeah, she wanted me to be more assertive, and she tried to rub that off. She really tried to rub it off on me, but I was a hard case because I'm really quiet, and like I said, I used to let people just run over me.
Like, you're not gonna be no pushover.
Yeah. And that's kind of like how my cousin was too. So she was always trying to make me kind of stand out and stick up for myself, and assert yourself. You want something, like another cousin says, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and I need to learn how to be the squeaky wheel, to get the oil, because I'm always allowing, things just happen, and just be looked over, and it's fine with me, because I'm quiet. But did y'all have friends like that? That was, that type of person that really brought you out?
It's funny. It's I can say that I actually did, because I was quiet myself in my younger days, believe that or not. I was very quiet, and I can say that it was something that happened to me. It wasn't a good thing, but it was just something that happened to me that it made me look back on those times where friends were like, Tina, why you let that guy talk to you like that? Why did you let that lady, that little girl take your ball? Go get your ball back. And
Right.
I'm like, no, it's okay. Standing back on the playground, and like, I got it. And I see them marching over there with confidence and just, this ain't your ball, this my friend.
Yeah.
And so I just, when this thing happened to me one day, I kind of thinking about the times where someone else had to stand up for me or do something for me. And I'm like, you know what? Nobody's here today. And this thing came up, and I'm like, I got to do something. Like, it was about, I think money. This next situation that came, and I was a little older, and I'm like, I need my money. This person that took my money, said they're going to give my money back. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna have to say something. So I think that day I was like, I really gotta get on this bus, and I need my $2 to get on the bus, but I need a $10 bill to get the $2 out of it. So I'm like, I need my money. I had to really speak up that day so I wouldn't be stranded where I was. So that taught me something, and it made me also feel good. Like, there's nothing wrong with standing up for yourself. You don't have to be ugly or mean, but go get what you got.
I had the hardest time doing that. And this is gonna be a wrap for this evening.
Good session.
This is a good session. It really was. I think we're gonna end up with probably 4 parts to this defining relationship. So this is part 2, and we'll come back next week with part 3. Now, this concludes our show for this evening, but you can tune in every Sunday at 7 p.m. for Fireside Talks, the ingredients of godly relationships. And also you can purchase my book. It's called Daughters of the King, Stop Kissing Frogs, and it is on Amazon. If you want to partner with Consuming Fire Ministries, you can cash app your donation to $Pam Horn. Or you can support us by checking out our website at consumingfirebooks.weebly.com. Until next week, when we meet again, blessings and peace.